Welcome back to the Business Leaders of America podcast, where business leaders come to share their advice and journeys to success with existing and emerging leaders of America. Now, here's your host, Dylan Bloyd.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Business Leaders of America podcast. Today, I'm joined by Joseph Shalaby, founder and CEO of eMortgage Capital, one of the fastest-growing mortgage companies in the country, with operations in over 40 states and a network of more than 900 loan officers nationwide. Joseph has spent more than 2 decades in the mortgage industry, building his company from the ground up into a national platform focused on speed, innovation, and service. Born in Cairo, Egypt, and raised in the United States, Joseph's journey is rooted in resilience, discipline, and an entrepreneurial drive shaped by his family story. In addition to leading eMortgage Capital, he is the host of Coffees for Closers podcast, a top 10 business podcast, and the author of the best-selling book Rising from the Sand: An Immigrant's Path to Wealth and Influence, where he shares the lessons, setbacks, and mindset that shaped his rise. In this episode, we'll discuss Joseph's journey from immigrant to CEO, what it takes to scale a company in a volatile industry, and the leadership principles behind building lasting success. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me, Dylan.
Yeah, absolutely. So you arrived, Joseph, in the U.S. from Egypt at a young age, right? And so you watched your family rebuild from scratch. How did those early years shape your mindset around money, work, and opportunity?
Well, those early years really showed me that I'm really thankful for what I have today. And
Mm,
I grew up in a very poverty-stricken household initially when we came to the States. So I remember those days like it was yesterday. Coming to America, living in a one-bedroom apartment. My sister, my mom, my dad. Um, you know, we didn't have air conditioning. I remember just like, just having a fan and like the blazing heat, right?
mm,
And it's those things, those subtle details of poverty that really resonate with me in my daily path to success and remind me that, I'm really nothing. I came from nothing. I'll die with nothing. And I'm just here to serve and do God's work while I'm here.
mm,
And that's really what's allowed me to thrive in my industry and lead as a servant leader. Because, when you come from nothing and you build from nothing and you build like this, I don't want to call it an empire, but it's kind of like a mortgage empire.
mhm,
We're top mortgage company in the country, and we do, billions every year, billions every quarter now. And and we're growing very, very quickly. And now our target avatars are other mortgage companies. And I'm here to just help and serve and do everything I possibly can to help people grow their business. And it's that mindset that really attracts people to this organization. And sadly, it's hard to teach that.
mhm.
You have to really live it. You have to come from poverty because it's what builds resilience, and it keeps you humble.
Right.
And you and I, Dylan, were just talking about not really living a lavish lifestyle. I don't do private jets. I don't do big yachts. I don't do fancy cars. Nothing. Not first class even. I'll fly coach.
Man.
Because it's just a waste of money. I cannot waste money. I can't even waste food.
Yeah.
My kids, leave food, and I gotta eat it.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's just I eat their food. I'll eat their scraps, and I'm like kind of like a garbage disposal. It's like, why am I like that? I don't know. I'm built that way. I just can't waste money, can't waste food, can't waste anything because, it's in Arabic we call it haram. It's wrong.
Mm,
It's wrong to waste. It's wrong to be wasteful. It's wrong to not be thankful
mhm.
for what you've been given.
Right. Do you
And
feel?
I'm also
Oh, go ahead.
Orthodox Christian, and we're taught to really be thankful for everything and in everything. There's a story of one of our famous popes. You know, um, who just like it's about an egg, but like, the Pope was given this one egg to eat, and he was like, "Look at this egg, like how thankful am I for this one egg to eat?" Like this is the guy who, was the basically the father of the church. He's or canonized as a saint now. And, he just taught us to just be thankful for the tiniest thing that God gives you. And that's the mindset that I have in my business and the way I lead and the opportunity that God's given me. and the blessings that have been bestowed upon me.
Right. Yeah, and the research I was doing, it definitely shows. Do you feel like it's partially because, like, in the back of your mind, there's always that possibility of it going back to that poverty position in
Yeah.
life?
Yeah, it's absolutely that, because I know that, again, from dust I came, from dust I'm going to end. And
Yeah,
I'm in a very volatile industry where, who knows?
yeah,
One regulator could come in and shut you down, or one lawsuit could happen and can shut you down, or who knows what can happen to really just take it all away from me.
mhm,
Sadly, I went through a divorce in my life, and I know what it feels like. There's no money that can be there's not enough money that can be like that can quantify how much the loss is of losing, your spouse, and
mm,
losing like that perfect picture perfect marriage, and just trying to rebuild that. So, even me now, I'm at a sticking point, just because I still have my 4 kids, super involved father, but
yeah,
I don't have the picture perfect marriage that I once had.
right.
And rebuilding back from that is not easy.
Right. No, totally understand. Yeah, no, I mean, again, you're doing amazing things, and I'm really excited to get into this, Joseph, and really dig deep. But, because you built eMortgage Capital from humble beginnings, as we talked about, into a nationwide company operating in over 40 states and with 900 plus loan officers. And this was when I was doing research, a couple months back. So I'm sure this has actually grown even more so. But what was the first real inflection point where you realized this really could become something big?
I felt like I found something that um I brought back after the industry crash of '08.
Mm,
So, um, in 2000, before the crash, we had something called branching, net branches.
mm,
And it was something that, everybody at the time was doing. And when the industry crashed, in a heartbeat, that it was gone.
mhm.
And that's something that resonates with me too, because I went through the crash, I saw everything disappear. But nobody after I came back in the industry in 2011, I noticed the net branch model was literally extinct. And I was like, there's a need for this, because people don't want to deal with licensing and compliance and marketing and innovating. They just want to sell. So I just started to, slowly, one by one, create a model where I was the back end ecosystem for other people, so they don't have to deal with it. Now it's obviously very prevalent. Thousands of people are doing it. There's companies all over the country that have this similar model. And it's a very, very you know prevalent platform amongst, but there's only 5 of us mega companies that are doing it this way. But I would attribute a lot of our success to timing, because we came in at a time where the net branch model was extinct. So I basically brought it back. We're not like net branches, we don't call it that anymore. But
Yeah.
um, but basically, I was able to bring back a platform or an industry that was extinct. So,
Wow.
and and from there it was just like it took off like rapid fire.
Right. Yeah. Paid dividends, right? So,
Yeah.
I want to backtrack a little bit because, a lot of founders struggle to transition from producer to true CEO, because when you're first in it, you're really in the trenches. So, at what point did you make that shift from being the top producer to truly becoming the architect of, a big, large organization?
Well, I still am, a producer in the industry, in the company. I'm not. I'm still probably in the top 5% of the company, but
Wow.
I do it by default just because I have such a big brand, and I'm almost forced to do loans for people. I run from doing consumer direct loans, but some people just are like friends, family, that know me, or you know, just go behind my back. Don't want to work with one of my loan officers just to force me to do a loan. I still outproduce most of my loan officers, but I'm also the only recruiter for the company. And I've managed to build the company by myself, and it's all been on building a personal brand. We don't really, we don't spend much advertisement dollars. A lot of our competitors, they have like MLM models where they have hundreds of people recruiting. Like I told you earlier, Dylan, I get like 1 million views a day, and I'm able to recruit, people based on my brand, my personal brand.
Right.
And that's something I preach to everybody. The power of personal brand now is more powerful than any marketing out there. You have to build a strong personal brand to succeed in this in any environment now,
Hmm.
just because of AI indexing, because consumers want to work with you, not your company.
Yeah.
So if you're not building your personal brand, you're going to be left in the dust. Um, and right now, um, I was an early adopter. I got lucky, and it's all a blessing. And
Hmm.
I continue to be blessed, but you know, blessings don't come without hard work and faith.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of, all of that.
Yeah. When did you believe that was going to become like an asset to your business though? Because for people who don't know, you have over, 1 million followers. As we were talking earlier, it doesn't matter as much now to have as many followers. I think it just is that when someone clicks on your page, they see they're like, okay, this is a pretty popular page, someone who is very popular. But at the same time, what really matters now is views and the algorithms changed, right? That we talked about.
Yeah.
But when did you really realize that it was going to become an asset to your business?
You know, I went on faith because here I am doing crazy antics, building a social media following, uh, circa 2024,
Hmm.
and you didn't know what this social media following was going to do. I knew it was going to help, but my partner, our president chairman, just thought I was crazy, for doing it
Right.
because I was doing a lot of man on the street content that wasn't more philanthropic. Like it was like more crazy antics. Like I have a board, and I don't do the same content that I once did just
Mhm.
because I appeased the board. Um, but it was questionable. It's like, dude, you're a CEO of a financial institution and you're out here in the streets, like you can't do that, And um, I had faith that it was going to work. I knew it was going to work. I knew because the power of personal brand, um, that the personal brand that I'd seen other people build. I saw what it did for them. I'm like, it's going to work. It's going to eventually pay off. And I also had a chip on my shoulder because the story goes like this:
Mhm.
our number one player on our company basketball team left our company to go to my competitors, and our number one player happened to play for the South African basketball team, and he was a very good basketball player. And when he left, my team just like was getting obliterated.
Mhm.
Um, and he was also the number one mortgage influencer at the time.
Mm.
And I was like, you know what? I offered him the most sweetheart deal, and he still turned me down. And I had a chip on my shoulder. I'm like, I can't beat him at basketball, but I'm gonna beat him in social media.
Yeah.
So I immediately got to work. I had more resources. I was like, I'm gonna beat him at social. So I got with a couple people that helped me kind of strategize, and I just I was like I was relentless because when you got a chip on your shoulder, you just want to win. I can't beat him in basketball, but I'm like, I knew I could beat him at this.
Mhm.
You know, I come from a theater background. I could do whatever it takes to really kind of strategize, um, yeah, and get creative with you know, various um marketing strategies and being, relatable and social and, you know, likable in the streets. I feel like, you know, man on the street content, as you saw from some of my recent content, is just raw and authentic and
Mhm.
organic, and people know it.
Mhm.
People know you can sense when something's staged, and you could sense when it's authentic.
Right.
You just sense it. You know it.
Yes.
It's like you can't fake it.
Yeah.
It's amazing how people know it, and the algorithm definitely knows it.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
exactly. No, I'm a huge fan of your social media, of your Instagram. Again, for the listeners who are listening and have not followed Joseph, you guys really do have to check it out because exactly what you said. It's relatable. A lot of the posts that you do are relatable, and it's not just mortgage, mortgage, mortgage. And loans and real estate. You're making it fun. You're doing a lot of the videos. The last video you just did of was not trying to tell everybody too much, but at the same time, you guys got to check it out for yourself. But a couple kids had to do 10 push-ups and he bought everything for them in the store. It was just really cool, really awesome video. But it's just,
And it feels good to do it. I
yeah.
love doing that content. And I do a lot of comedy and stuff,
Yeah.
but my favorite stuff is when I'm helping, a poor family out,
Mhm.
in a store that I know that like I'm making a big difference. It's such a blessing to do that and kind of show people that there's light. Obviously, you're not supposed to give in public, you're supposed to give in private. But I feel like when I do this content, I show people goodness,
Mhm.
they just emulate it and that helps them be more giving in their own life. So it's its own service outside of the service that's happening in the video, the showing people that goodness exists, so that they can go out and kind of do the same thing or to their capacity, is its own service that people should emulate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it also, relates back to your business and why people want to work for someone who they can be relatable to, right? I mean, you showed up in the
Mhm.
grocery store with a workout suit on and I think a lifter's belt on, right?
Yeah.
So, people want to work with people like under people who are relatable and they can, feel like they can talk to them and relate to them in different matters because like you said, the board might not want you posting certain things, because there's that stigma of being a CEO of a company. You have to act a certain way, but you
Yeah.
kind of push those boundaries in a way, in a good way, and I
I
love
push
that,
those
man.
boundaries, and, mortgages are boring. What I do is boring,
Yeah,
right? It's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not, it's just, it's mortgage,
yeah,
like any Gen Alpha kid doesn't even know what mortgage is, right?
right.
So I try to speak to Gen Alpha and by relating to Gen Alpha, Gen Z, millennials, Gen Xers, they're all going to like it
Hmm.
because if Gen Alpha likes it, everybody will like it.
Right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, and that's probably what's driving that algorithm right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, my whole thing, it's funny, but I just want to be cool to my kids.
Yeah.
That's it. If my kids think I'm cool and their friends think I'm cool,
Yeah.
I'm winning. So when I hear my son while we're at practice talking to his friend about my content, I'm like, that's
Made it.
right. That's what I did this for,
Yeah.
like,
Exactly. Yeah. That 1.4 million followers. Who cares about that? My kids
yeah,
think I'm
yeah,
cool. That's
no,
what.
it's like my son's over here bragging about, his dad to his buddy and the YouTube that he did with his dad. It's like, I just try to do stuff where I can hang with my kids.
Hmm.
Um, from the content to like I do sport. I'm teaching my kids how to be entrepreneurs through sports cards. And the
Oh,
world of sports cards now, as you know, is insane.
yes.
Kevin O'Leary just spoke about his strategy to sports cards investments, and I don't have enough money to buy the cards he has. He has like $35 million sports cards, but he's
Mm.
buying sports cards like a Monet or a Picasso,
Yeah.
because he's like, well, if I put 30 million in this card in 2 years, it'll be worth 35 million,
Yeah.
or 40 million. It's the returns are higher than the stock market. So my son's like, Dad, can you just do a distribution from the company, take out 500 grand and yeah, we'll start this business.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not there yet mentally,
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But
Let's stick with the $500 cards for right
yeah.
now.
But we'll get there, right? And
We'll get there
start
slow, and
driving that.
and they're learning, but he's like, "Dude, I'll do the research. I'll start studying the players. I'll start studying how their injuries." And if you look at the charts of sports cards, they're the same exact charts as the stock market.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the players is the same. If a player's injured, it's the same concept as, something happened with the CEO of the company on a
Hmm.
stock chart, or they acquired another company or whatever it is. Like the variables are the same. It's just like kids understand when a player's hurt or became MVP or whatever. That's like relatable to kids,
Hmm.
you know. But it's the same that the stock charts are the same as the card charts. They're exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. And they're gonna put that, like you said, your kid's gonna do the research on it because he truly enjoys it. Aside from
Yeah,
the money aside, right?
he's
He's
not
more
going to study, SpaceX or
right.
he doesn't care.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I did want to touch a little bit more on the business side of things, because you are known for closing loans in 10 days, emphasizing speed and service. So, in a competitive industry, some would say saturated, right? How important is it operational excellence versus just having competitive rates?
Oh yeah, I mean, my mentor says like speed is what wins deals or kills deals.
Yeah.
So if you can't operate at maximum speed, guess what? Your competitors can.
Hmm.
And while you're sleeping, your competitors are figuring out ways to become faster and cheaper.
Yeah.
And for us, like operational efficiencies are everything. And winning on speed is everything. So we try to close loans as fast as humanly possible because we know that it's a short race and our borrowers, as loyal as we may think they are, they're they're not. They just want the
Yeah.
best deal and they want it done yesterday.
Hmm.
And speed wins. So
Yeah.
we just try to close loans as quick as possible. We spend a lot when it comes to investing in operational efficiencies, especially on the technology side. We spend millions on building out our tech stack, and that's what's allowing us to excel faster than our competitors.
Mm.
So it's all about speed. It's all about efficient operational efficiencies and investing in technology that's helping streamline the process.
Yeah, exactly. So that's great because it is a question I like to ask because with technology advancing, right? You guys you really emphasize the part of your business where you feels like a mom and pop, even though it is a very large company. But when you start implementing the technology aspect of it, AI, doesn't it start to feel like it kind of pulls away from that and it feels like you're not building relationships as well compared to talking to somebody one on one?
Well, we have AI for automation
Okay.
cadences, right? We try to basically make sure that the client is kept up to date throughout the entire process. There's several touch points, hundreds of touch points, and they know what's going on throughout the entire duration of their loan process.
Yeah.
If we don't do that, we're losing.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that these clients are getting their loans done quickly, they're getting the best execution, and you know, they're getting it as cheap as possible. And the way to do that is by leveraging technology.
Mhm.
There's no shortcut there.
Right. Yeah, just operational excellence, right? Trying to be get through
Right.
serve as many people as possible, and they're still going to feel that, right? You guys are still going to have conversations with them, and that if they have true questions that you know AI can't answer, then you guys are going to be there to help them along the way. So you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
So the mortgage industry obviously has seen massive volatility over the past 2 decades. So how do you lead through uncertainty when rates shift, markets tighten, and fear spreads? Because you guys have done an amazing job.
So, I mean, when fear spreads, rates shift. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Clients need money. People need money. There's no shortcuts,
Yeah.
right? There's no shortcuts. People need to close loans quickly. People need to make sure that their deals are done. People need to borrow money. People run into debt. People get divorced. Like we sell money.
Yeah.
We sell the most needed product on the planet.
Yeah.
There's no way that our industry will ever go dry because the demand for our product is so high.
Hmm. Yep. No, you're absolutely right. Well, thanks for touching on that, Joseph. I do appreciate it. I did want to shift gears a little bit because you also run one of the top 10 podcasts in business, Copies for Closers. You interview founders and CEOs about building empires. What separates those from, who plateau from those who scale? Can you talk about that a little bit?
It's resilience. The people that plateau don't give up.
Yeah.
They're always grinding. They always want to win. They always, are the type to fall and get back up immediately.
Hmm.
You fall, you get back up. You don't just like sit around and get your butt kicked.
Hmm. Right.
It's all about the ability to get back up after you've gotten your butt kicked.
Mm, got it.
And
Yeah.
that's what every big founder I've ever interviewed has in common is that they're absolutely resilient.
Hmm.
They're absolutely resilient. So
Right. No, I've had similar, high level guests as well, just like yourself, and that seems to be the thing, is like, one guest told me that never quit on a bad day, right? Because your chances of quitting on a good day are very low, right? So if you quit on a bad day, or if you don't quit on a bad day, there's a higher chance of you staying in business. So I love that message.
it's very true. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, these guys, are going through ups and downs and tribulation every single day.
Hmm.
And like I can't tell you how much I've been like numb to bad days. It's like I could just and people are shocked because like I always have such a good demeanor, and I don't really care, like, I like, about the drama, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm always willing to just kinda, like, just brush it off,
Yeah.
like it never happened.
Right. Well, it's probably to a point now where you've seen majority of, the issues that could occur, right? And so you know it takes to get through it, regardless of
Right.
what it is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can overcome any tribulation at this point in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so good, and I built such thick skin to the tribulation, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Which, of course, that's what you need. So, you also chose to write "Rising from the Sand," at this stage in your life after building a national company and establishing real influence. So, why was this the right time to tell your story, and what do you hope the readers will walk away with after reading it? Because it is a bestseller, right?
Yeah, so it was a number one bestseller on Amazon, and, the purpose of Rising from the Sand was really just to tell people that they can overcome any tribulation despite their circumstance, despite their, the tribulation that they've been through or they're going through.
Mm,
One thing humans all have in common, every human being, rich, poor, indifferent,
yeah,
one thing we all share is suffering. And it's just telling that story of like, suffering is part of the journey and it just makes you better. And it helps you become it helps you to your end goal and become the man or woman you want to be. And, you know, anything is possible in America because we're given so much opportunity in the United States that we don't get anywhere else.
wow,
The fact that I could come in here and build a company of this size and scale here in the States is like, unseen anywhere. Right. So there's so much opportunity with, our society, and we're given so much opportunity on a daily basis. And people just need to see that we're so blessed here. And, there and anything is possible in the United States. I got to live the American dream. People are like, "Dude, you're American." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I look
right.
American, but I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not American."
yep.
So I decided it was time for people to kind of see it. I thought I was in a position now where I built a big brand and I built a big podcast, and now, I think the story will help people. And I also launched a school recently on school.com,
Mm,
and I teach people how to launch their own podcast completely end to end. It's totally free, very, very helpful for anybody.
wow, totally free. Please make sure if this is something you're interested in, please make sure you
Yeah.
guys are checking it out. And on top of that, picking up his book. And that being said, Joseph, for everyone who's listening and wants to follow your journey, connect with you, learn more about eMortgage Capital, grab your book, tune in your podcast. What's the best place for them to do so?
Just Instagram, Joseph
Okay.
Shalaby. They'll find me there.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll make sure that's in the link
Instagram,
as well.
TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. I mean, but it's all Joseph Shalaby.
Yeah.
I'm on every platform.
Right, right. Oh, awesome. Well, I'll make sure those are, still in the show notes. But again, like you said, just search that and you guys will find them. It's the first one that comes up on, for probably the first couple pages, right?
Yeah, Joseph SH. Was all your intro all what like ChatGPT wrote all that for you?
It was a little bit of both. I put all the information and then it kind of pieces it together. So yeah,
ChatGPT pulls up crazy info. Every single word is indexed, by the way, on from this podcast will be indexed.
gotcha. Oh wow, yeah. No, I didn't say like, can you write something for him? I always put in the information, then it kind of
Yeah, if
pieces
they
make
just put in who's Joseph Shalaby, oh my
yeah,
gosh, the amount of stuff that comes up, it's
really.
crazy.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, there you go. That's even easier. So that's perfect. Well, Joseph, this has been amazing, man. I do appreciate you joining today, spending time with me and the listeners.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.